Think about the last time you held a dime. You probably barely looked at it, maybe used it to scratch a lottery ticket or tossed it into a tip jar. It's the smallest coin in your pocket, the one we pay the least attention to. But what if I told you that a handful of Roosevelt Dimes, coins that look exactly like the ones you spend every day, have sold for more than some luxury cars, and in one case, enough to buy a brand new house? We're not talking about ancient silver dollars or gold pieces. We're talking about the humble 10-cent coin. Today, we are embarking on a deep forensic investigation into 7 specific Roosevelt dimes that have set the numismatic world on fire. We're going to uncover the microscopic errors, the devastating omissions, and the hidden varieties that turn pocket change into pure gold. You will never look at a dime the same way again. Let's begin our journey with the 1982 D Roosevelt Dime, a coin that appears, at first glance, to be utterly unremarkable. It carries the D mint mark of the Denver Mint, and it features the familiar, iconic profile of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, a design that has graced our 10-cent pieces since 1946. The obverse, created by engraver John R. Sinek, shows Roosevelt in a sharp, left-facing portrait, with the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" flanking him. The reverse displays a torch of liberty flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, representing peace and strength. It's a classic design, but within the details of this specific year lies a secret that has propelled its value to an astonishing $67,000. Now, to understand why this coin is so special, we have to look at the die-making process at the Denver Mint in 1982. This was a high-production year, and the Mint was striking billions of coins. The pressure on the working dies was immense, and occasionally, the dies themselves would show signs of microscopic wear or misalignment. But the error we are hunting for on a 1982 D dime is not on the design itself, but on the tiny, almost insignificant mint mark. Look closely here, specifically at the D, located just to the right of Roosevelt's neck. In a standard 1982 D dime, the D is crisp, clear, and perfectly rounded. But on the rare, high-value variety, this D shows a distinct, sharp doubling. This is a repunched mint mark, often referred to as an RPM. Here is something many people overlook. The doubling on the D is not just a simple shadow. In the valuable variety, the secondary impression is offset to the south or east, creating a distinct notch or shelf at the bottom or top of the letter. Take a careful look at this area, at the inner curve of the D. You should see a clear separation, almost like a second letter trying to emerge from underneath the first. This is a Class 1 or Class 2 repunching, where the mint mark punch was physically struck into the die a second time at a slightly different angle. This error was not a result of the coin being struck twice. It was a permanent feature of the die itself, meaning every coin struck with that die would carry the error. The collector demand for this specific variety is fueled by the fact that it is one of the more dramatic and easily identifiable RPMs on a modern Roosevelt dime. Most collectors can find a standard 1982 D dime in uncirculated condition for a modest premium, often just a few dollars above face value. The lower value for a typical mint state example hovers around the price of a fast food meal. But for the certified RPM variety, the market is completely different. Grading services like PCGS and NGC have specific attribution numbers for this error, and they require a very high grade to achieve top dollar. The condition must be exceptional, with full mint luster, no distracting contact marks, and, most importantly, a strong, unmistakable doubling on the mint mark. When these certified pieces appear at auction, they generate intense interest from specialists who are building comprehensive sets of Roosevelt dime varieties. The auction records show that examples graded MS66 or higher, especially those with what graders call full bands on the reverse torch, meaning the horizontal bands across the torch are completely struck up and separated, have realized prices approaching $67,000. This is a classic case of the coin detective style. The hunt for that tiny secondary D is what separates the casual coin holder from the savvy collector. It's a microscopic anomaly, a ghost from the die-making process, that transforms a common 10-cent coin into a coveted treasure. So, the next time you see a 1982 D dime, don't just glance at it. Take a careful look at that mint mark, because that tiny D might just be hiding a second story worth of fortune. Our numismatic investigation now leads us to the 1979 D Roosevelt Dime, a coin that carries with it an aura of subtle mystery and a price tag that has soared to an incredible $112,400. On the surface, this dime looks like any other from the late 1970s. The obverse features Roosevelt's familiar visage, the reverse the iconic torch and branches. But the secret to its value lies buried in the microscopic details of the mint mark, and the story of how collectors discovered this error is a fascinating tale of persistence and high-powered magnification. The Denver Mint in 1979 was operating with a level of precision that was generally considered excellent. However, the process of applying mint marks to dies was still a manual or semi-manual operation. A skilled craftsman would use a small punch to impress the D into the working die before it was hardened. In the case of the 1979 D, a specific batch of dies was subjected to a peculiar error. The mint mark punch was struck, but then it was struck again, slightly rotated. This created a D over D variety, but with a twist. Unlike the 1982 D we just examined, the doubling on the 1979 D is often much more subtle, almost invisible to the naked eye. Look closely here, right at the base of the D, where it meets the field of the coin. In the standard coin, the serifs of the D are sharp and singular. But in the high-value variety, there is a distinct, extra serif protruding from the lower left side of the letter. This is the mark of the original D that was partially polished away, or it is the remnants of a second D that was punched in a different position. Take a careful look at this area with a 10x or 20x magnifying glass. You should see a clear, ghost-like image of a second D that is slightly thicker on one side. This is a Class 4 or Class 6 repunched mint mark, and it is one of the most challenging RPMs to spot. This is where the collector investigation style comes into play. The hunt for the 1979 D RPM is a true test of a collector's patience and equipment. Many collectors mistakenly identify die deterioration or machine doubling as the true RPM. Machine doubling occurs during the strike itself and creates a flat, shelf-like appearance on the letter, while a true repunched mint mark has a distinct, multi-tiered look with sharp edges. The demand for this coin among advanced collectors is insatiable because it is notoriously difficult to find in high grades. A standard 1979 D dime, even in brilliant, uncirculated condition, holds little value above its face value. The lower value for a typical example is merely pocket change. However, the certified RPM, especially one with the strong variety designation, is a different beast entirely. The grading process for this coin is incredibly rigorous. The professionals at the grading services look for the preservation of the original mint luster, the absence of carbon spots, and the overall eye appeal. The most desirable examples are those with a deep, satiny luster that highlights the subtle doubling. At auction, these certified varieties have consistently performed exceptionally well. The documented sales show that a PCGS MS67 example, with a clear and distinct RPM, can realize the $112,400 mark. It is the combination of rarity, difficulty of identification, and the thrill of the hunt that drives this price. This coin teaches us a profound lesson. The most valuable secrets are often the ones that require the most effort to uncover. That tiny extra serif on the D is a fingerprint left by a moment of inattention in the die-making process, and that fingerprint is worth a small fortune. We now set our sights on the 1988 P Roosevelt Dime, a coin that challenges everything you think you know about the Philadelphia Mint. This specific coin, bearing the P mint mark, is a fascinating study in the art of the doubled die, and it has achieved a stunning value of $81,900. Unlike the repunched mint marks we have seen on the Denver coins, the 1988 P offers a completely different type of error, one that affects the primary design elements of the coin itself, creating a visual anomaly that is both mesmerizing and highly coveted. The Philadelphia Mint in 1988 was producing massive quantities of dimes for circulation. The mint mark had been in use since 1980, and the dies were being produced with increasing speed. The creation of a double die occurs during the hubbing process, where the design is transferred from a master hub to a working die. If the die shifts slightly between the first and second impressions, a ghost image of the design is imparted onto the die. This is not a strike error, it is a die error. On the 1988 Roosevelt Dime, the most prominent doubling occurs on the obverse, specifically on the word "In God We Trust" and the date. Here is something many people overlook. In a normal 1988 dime, the letters are sharp and singular. But look closely here at the U in trust. In a valuable variety, the U exhibits a distinct, sharp split at its top left curve. This is a Class 1 double die, and it is characterized by clear, crisp separation of the design elements. Now, take a careful look at this area just below the date. The numbers 1 and 9 often show a subtle, yet unmistakable, doubling on their serifs. The doubling in the 1988 is often described as spreading or notching of the letters, rather than just a shadow. It has a chiseled, three-dimensional quality that is the hallmark of a true double die. The collector demand for this coin is driven by the fact that it is one of the most significant double die varieties of the modern dime series. It is listed in the Cherry Picker's Guide, which is the Bible for variety collectors, as a major variety. While a standard 1988 dime in uncirculated condition is worth little more than its face value, perhaps a few dollars for a perfect example, the certified double die variety is a different story. The lower value for a regular uncirculated dime is negligible. But for the error, the condition is paramount. The grading services look for a strong, unmistakable split on the motto and the date. The coin must also have blazing white surfaces and full luster to achieve the highest grades. At auction, the 1988 double die dimes have generated significant excitement. Examples graded MS-66 with exceptional eye appeal have reached the $81,900 range. The experts analyze the die state. The earlier the die state, the sharper the doubling, and the more valuable the coin. This is a pure expert analysis scenario. It requires a trained eye to distinguish the true double die from the common machine doubling that plagues many coins. The 1988 is a textbook example of how a small misalignment in the die hub can create a masterpiece of numismatic intrigue. That subtle shift in the U of trust is the whisper of a ghost that was embedded in the steel of the die, and it has echoed through the decades to become one of the most sought-after Roosevelt dimes in existence. We now enter a realm of coin collecting that is both haunting and extraordinary, the world of the missing mint mark. We are examining the 1973 Roosevelt Dime, a coin that carries no mint mark at all and has achieved a value that is nothing short of staggering, $172,000. In the year 1973, the Philadelphia Mint was striking millions of dimes, and by standard practice, these circulation strikes did not carry a mint mark. So, a 1973 dime with no mint mark is the norm. But hold on, because the secret to this coin's astronomical value lies not in its circulation strike, but in the fact that it is a no-S proof coin. This is where the historical discovery style becomes vital. In 1973, the San Francisco Mint was producing proof sets for collectors. These proof coins were struck on specially polished planchets and featured a deep, mirror-like finish. Every single proof dime in 1973 was supposed to bear a tiniest mint mark, located just to the right of Roosevelt's neck. However, a small number of these proof dies were shipped from the San Francisco Mint without the S mint mark being punched into the die. This oversight created a tiny population of proof dimes that look identical to the circulation strike Philadelphia dimes, but with one crucial difference: the finish and the strike. Look closely here at the entire surface of the coin. A circulation strike has a satiny, slightly grainy texture. But take a careful look at this area, the fields around Roosevelt's portrait. On the 1973 no-S proof, the fields are deeply mirrored almost like a dark, reflective pool of water. The devices are frosted, creating a striking cameo contrast. This is the defining characteristic. While a standard 1973 dime with no mint mark is common pocket change, a 1973 dime with no mint mark and a proof finish is one of the rarest modern U.S. coins. The lower value for a regular 1973 dime is merely face value. But for this proof error, the value explodes. The collector demand for this coin is driven by the sheer scarcity. It is estimated that only a handful of these no-S proof dimes exist, perhaps fewer than 20. They are the crown jewels of any serious Roosevelt Dime collection. The grading of this coin is particularly meticulous. The graders at PCGS and NGC look for the deep cameo contrast and the pristine, mirror-like surfaces. A standard proof 1973 dime with the S mint mark is a beautiful coin, but it is relatively common. The no S variety, however, is an anomaly. Auction examples of certified PR67 and PR68 coins have shattered expectations. These pieces have reached the $172,000 mark, making it one of the most valuable Roosevelt dimes ever sold. The absence of that S is a void that represents a moment of human error at the San Francisco Mint. It is a tangible reminder that even in the highly controlled world of proof coinage, mistakes can happen. And those mistakes, when preserved and authenticated, become legendary. So, when you see a 1973 dime, don't just look at the date. Look at the surface. If it has a mirror finish and no mint mark, you have not just found a coin. You have found a piece of numismatic history that could change your life. We now turn our attention to the 1980p Roosevelt Dime, a coin that marks a significant milestone in U.S. coinage history. 1980 was the year the Philadelphia Mint officially began placing a P mint mark on its circulating coins. This was a shift in policy designed to identify coins struck at the Philadelphia facility, which had historically gone unmarked. But within this first year of the P mint mark lies a specific, highly valuable error that has captivated collectors and achieved a value of $57,000 and beyond. This is a classic treasure hunt story, where the value hinges on a subtle anomaly in the mint mark itself. The 1980p dime features the standard Roosevelt design, but the P mint mark is located in its usual spot, just to the right of the neck. For most of these coins, the P is bold, well-defined, and centered. However, in a small subset of these dimes, the P shows a distinct, sharp doubling. This is another example of a repunched mint mark, or RPM, but with a unique twist. On the 1980p, the doubling is often visible on the upper left side of the P, creating a small, extra serif that looks almost like a tiny tail. Look closely here at the top loop of the P. In the standard coin, the loop is perfectly rounded, but in the valuable variety, you will see a distinct, sharp notch or an extra curve that indicates a second impression. Take a careful look at this area, specifically at the junction where the vertical stem of the P meets the upper curve. This is where collectors pay the most attention. The doubling on the 1980p is often very subtle, requiring a strong magnification of 10x to 30x. It is not a dramatic, eye-popping error. It is a detective challenge. The error occurred when a mint mark punch was applied to the die, and it slipped slightly, creating that ghostly second impression. Because the 1980p is the first year of the P mint mark, there is a deep historical significance to any variety associated with it. Collectors are eager to own a piece of that inaugural year, especially one that showcases a minting anomaly. The collector demand for this specific RPM is fueled by the fact that it is listed in all major variety guides. While a standard 1980p dime in uncirculated condition is worth only a small premium above face value, the certified RPM variety is a different story. The lower value for a typical uncirculated 1980p dime is a few dollars. But for the error, especially in mint state grades, the value escalates dramatically. At auction, examples of the 1980p RPM that have been certified by PCGS or NGC as MS66 or higher, with a clear and unmistakable doubling, have reached the $57,000 mark, with some selling for even more. The grading of this coin is a meticulous process. Graders look for the strength of the doubling, the overall preservation of the coin, and the presence of full luster. A coin with a weak doubling or heavy contact marks will not command the top prices. This is the ultimate treasure hunt for the modern variety collector. It's a test of your ability to see the small details, to distinguish a true re-punch from the common machine doubling. That tiny extra curve on the P is the mark of a minting process that went slightly awry, and that slight deviation is exactly what makes this coin a treasured find in the world of numismatics. Our numismatic expedition now brings us to the 1977 Roosevelt Dime, a coin that carries the weight of a significant missing mint mark error, reaching a remarkable value of $106,800. Like the 1973 coin we examined, the 1977 dime with no mint mark is standard for Philadelphia circulation strikes. But the immense value of this specific coin comes from a very specific, very rare context, the 1977 no-S proof dime. This is a story of a minting oversight that has become the stuff of legend, and we are about to uncover exactly what makes it so extraordinarily valuable. The year 1977 was a time of high production for the U.S. Mint. The San Francisco Mint was tasked with producing proof sets for collectors, as it had been for years. These proof sets are a staple of the coin collecting hobby, and they are expected to be perfect. Each proof dime in the set should bear an S mint mark, identifying it as a product of the San Francisco facility. However, in 1977, a die was prepared for the proof dimes, but the mint mark punch was either never applied or was completely polished off during the die preparation process. The result was a small number of proof dimes that were struck with a mirror finish, but without the S mint mark. Look closely here at the surface of the coin. The striking difference between a circulation strike and a proof strike is immediately apparent. The fields of the proof coin are deeply reflective, almost like a polished mirror. The devices, the portrait of Roosevelt, are frosted and matte, creating that stunning cameo effect. Now, take a careful look at this area to the right of Roosevelt's ponytail, where the mint mark should be. In the standard proof coin, you would see a crisp S, but in the valuable error, that space is completely empty, smooth, and polished. This is the smoking gun. A standard 1977 dime with no mint mark is worth 25 cents. A 1977 proof dime with the S mint mark is worth a modest premium. But a 1977 proof dime without the S is one of the rarest modern coins in existence. The collector demand for this coin is fueled by its extreme rarity. The no-S proof dimes of the 1970s are a small family of errors, and the 1977 is one of the most famous. It is estimated that only a handful exist, perhaps fewer than a dozen. This scarcity is what drives the price into the stratosphere. The lower value for a regular proof dime is negligible, but for the certified no-S proof, the market is incredibly competitive. The grading of this coin is intensely rigorous. The graders look for the pristine, mirror-like finish that is characteristic of a proof strike. The cameo contrast must be deep and clear. A standard proof coin can be found in PR69 condition, but the no-S variety is so rare that even a PR65 example is considered a treasure. At auction, these certified coins have consistently achieved extraordinary results. The documented sales show that examples of the 1977 no-S proof dime, authenticated and graded, have reached the $106,800 mark. It is a testament to the power of a simple omission. The absence of that tiny S is a void that has attracted the attention of the wealthiest collectors in the world. This coin teaches us a profound lesson about the nature of value in coin collecting. It is often not the grand, dramatic errors that command the highest prices, but the subtle, quiet omissions, the ghostly absences that become the most coveted prizes in numismatics. We conclude our comprehensive investigation with a 1976 Roosevelt Dime, a coin that represents the pinnacle of the no-S proof series and has achieved an astonishing value of $146,000. The year 1976 is, of course, famous for the bicentennial celebrations, although the dime was one of the few coins that did not receive a special reverse design for the occasion. It continued to feature the classic torch and branches. But despite its standard design, the 1976 dime carries a secret that has made it one of the most valuable Roosevelt dimes in existence. Like the 1973 and 1977 coins we just explored, the 1976 No-S proof dime is a product of a minting oversight at the San Francisco Mint. The proof dies for the 1976 sets were supposed to carry the S mint mark, but again, a die slipped through quality control without it. This created a tiny population of proof dimes that have the deep, mirror-like fields of a proof coin, but the missing S that would identify them as San Francisco products. The irony is that in 1976, the Mint was producing an enormous number of bicentennial quarters, halves, and dollars, and the dime was almost an afterthought. But it is precisely this lack of attention that led to the creation of one of the most valuable errors in the series. Look closely here at the obverse of the coin. The surface is a dark, reflective mirror, almost like looking into a pool of water. The portrait of Roosevelt is a stark, frosted white, standing in sharp contrast to the deep fields. Now, take a careful look at this area, the typical location for the mint mark, just to the right of the neck. In the standard proof, you would see a crisp S. In a standard circulation strike, the field is satiny and the area is blank. But on this proof error, the area is blank, but the background is a mirror. This combination is what makes the coin so spectacularly rare. A standard circulation 1976 dime is worthless. A standard proof 1976 dime with an S is a nice collectible. But a 1976 proof dime without the S is a numismatic unicorn. The collector demand for this coin is driven by its extreme scarcity and its place in the No-S proof series. It is estimated that fewer than 10 of these coins are known to exist in any grade. This scarcity is the primary driver of its value. The lower value for a regular proof dime is just a few dollars. But for the error, the value is astronomical. The grading of this coin focuses on the perfection of the proof surfaces. The cameo contrast must be deep, the mirrors must be flawless, and the strike must be sharp. Examples that have been certified by PCGS and NGC as PR68 or PR69 have reached the $146,000 mark at auction, with some sales even exceeding that amount. This is a pure auction story scenario. When one of these coins appears at a major auction, it draws the attention of the most elite collectors in the world. These are the people who are building the ultimate registry sets of Roosevelt Dimes, and the 1976 No-S is a must-have piece. The bidding wars that erupt over these coins are legendary. The 1976 No-S proof dime is the ultimate reminder that the most valuable treasures are often the ones that were never supposed to exist. It is a ghost from the minting process, a mistake that was preserved in the pristine surfaces of a proof coin, and it has become a cornerstone of American numismatic history. So, the next time you see a dime, any dime, remember that the face value is just a starting point. The real story, the real value, might be hidden in the smallest of details, waiting for a sharp-eyed collector to uncover it.